Steroids can cause heart problems. I'm sure that, like, you can be a bodybuilder, but as soon as you start injecting drugs into your nuts, I think that's when you take it a little bit too far, huh? The price of being jacked and big. Chad wants to be big like this. Why elite bodybuilders keep dying? Okay, let's watch it. I'm curious.
Organizations and coaches would rather keep him.
Hold on. There we go.
In my head, it's like, I'm going to win the show or I'm going to die.
Bodybuilding.
Why are men like this? I don't want them to die.
It can be a very ugly world that people aren't aware of, you know, shit that goes on.
To think that he's in this soil right now is making me a little emotional.
There's a rising crisis going on in modern bodybuilding.
I got a list of 50, and there's 50 pros that I know about that have died. What about amateurs?
The glamorized industry has a dark side that some organizations and coaches would rather keep hidden.
Becoming a ticking time bomb.
At the top of the iceberg, the risks of elite bodybuilding are clear.
Steroids
Dude, he's like my brother's age, man. That makes me so sad.
will
He's dead.
kill you.
But when we go deeper, we see a lot more going on, and the consequences are
That's
becoming
so
increasingly
young,
fatal.
too.
More bad news from the bodybuilding world, unfortunately. Sean the Dinosaur Davis, Joe Lindner, Sean Roden, Gustavo Bedell, Ilya Golem, Edric McMillan.
Let these people know really what's going on.
Ladies and gentlemen, Arnold Schwarzenegger!
This was my introduction to bodybuilding, so how did it turn into this?
So many of those guys have their stomachs sticking out. It used to be
Oh, the roid gut,
you should have
yeah.
a V-shaped body. Now, kind of like a bottle. People do not come to a show to see bellies. And if they want to do that, they go to a maternity ward or something like that.
This look is known as Palumboism, coined after the bodybuilder Dave Palumbo. It's likely due to aggressive PED use, helping bodybuilders get bigger and leaner than ever.
Each generation of bodybuilders are pushing the chemical envelope a little bit.
Why though? In my opinion, in my honest opinion, I think this is the equivalent of like models being like size 4s. It's just the opposite. It's like the opposite. Men want to be big and women want to be small. It's the same complex.
A bit more.
And I don't find that women who are extremely skinny and have like, you know, their ribs literally sticking out and their collarbones sticking out, I don't think that's like good. I don't think that looks good, and I don't think that it's too much.
A little bit more, a little bit more.
Arnold often
be
calls out
healthy.
winners with bubble guts, getting them to hit old school poses that accentuate the modern flaws.
Let's see one more double bicep shot. With a great vacuum, show them now how to do that. Watch this, guys. What this? Look at that. Show your vacuum. It's a vacuum pose. Watch this, guys. See, that's what I'm talking about. Look at his vacuum. Look at this.
Fans were quick to suggest that Arnold knew exactly what he was doing here.
You're ripped. You're
Is he implying that he's sucking in his gut so that it's not obvious? That's what he's doing, right? Just so I'm understanding this correctly. Yeah. Okay.
huge. No stomach, no nothing, no problem.
Perhaps a lighthearted joke, but it's a warning for the more insidious issues going on in bodybuilding.
That whole bodybuilding world is so strange because it literally is impossible to compete without steroids.
It's no secret that they work. This is a natural body.
What? Holy!
Impossible to compete without steroids.
It's no secret that they.
That's in 9 years? Chat, like, you're attractive like this. Like, what's going on over here? Your head looks like it's like on a Ken doll. Even Ken dolls don't look this big, man. That's so
this
scary.
is a natural bodybuilder holding up a photo of her son, Boston Lloyd. He went on to become an enhanced bodybuilder, achieving this transformation in just a year.
But he looks good here, in my opinion.
This motherfucker look like he just came out the hop.
He's so big here. What do you mean? He looks buff as hell. You can see this, right? Sorry. No, I'm not in the way. Okay, good. Yeah, I feel like this is what my brother looked like when he was like at his fittest. He's like, not big enough. That's body dysmorphia, my guy.
All in time chamber.
In 2020, he was diagnosed with stage 5 kidney failure after injecting himself with large doses of a peptide that causes weight loss in monkeys. His desperate mother tried to seek out help from Dr. Phil, but by 29 years old, it was too late.
Boston Lloyd has passed.
The autopsy revealed an aortic dissection.
No, and he had a kid too.
Along with a severely thickened heart muscle and liver, likely caused by PEDs as the cause of death. A similar thing happened to Dallas McCarver. A few years after collapsing on stage, he passed away, his heart almost 3 times larger than average.
Oh my god. Look, it's 344 grams, 833 grams. It's almost 3 times.
A study found heart attacks to be one of the leading causes of deaths in bodybuilders. You see, PEDs can result in the heart growing larger, often increasing bad cholesterol, which clogs the arteries, meanwhile damaging the liver. Dallas's liver was over 3 times larger than the average person's. Perhaps more disturbing is sludge blood. PEDs can make blood thicker.
Sludge blood, I've heard of this before.
These clots can block blood flow to vital organs, so some bodybuilders drain their blood.
You could pour it upside down and the blood was solid. That's how thick it was.
Ew.
Side effects are becoming increasingly common as bodybuilders are pushed to take more potent enhancements, which is why experienced pros are concerned.
The internet is a source of information, which information is good.
And you know what's really terrible? I knew of a guy like online that played video games with like my group of friends. He used to do roids and he has irreversible like anger management issues. If you have susceptibility to anger management and like your anger, and then you go on roids and it becomes really, really bad, and then you come off of it, you still have that after effect. Like roid rage is an actual thing. It's not like a cartoon, you know, like, oh yeah, it's just funny. It's like actually like fucks with your brain.
But you got a lot of information.
It's this information that allows bodybuilders to experiment with research chemicals and advanced pharmacology to push to new limits.
What I'm told by people that are just taking it recreationally, they're taking, I'm saying, mate, you're taking more than I took from Mr. Olympia.
Many already have predispositions that these substances exacerbate. Substances which can have worrying effects on your brain.
Every day that I'm on high doses, I wake up in the morning afraid of the rest of my day.
What? Oh my god. Why? Is he gonna die?
This is kind of how I felt as a teenager, when it was -5 outside and I had rugby first lesson at school. Aside from trying to bulk up, I used to use the gym to de-stress. So when I picked up a big injury, with lockdown on top, I was without my coping mechanism. Which is why I'm proud to announce that today's video...
Lift heavy stone, make sad noise quiet. That's strong. That's how I felt. When you're running, you just kind of forget what you're doing.
It's sponsored by Headspace. I only started using Headspace in my first year of university, initially viewing mental health as weakness. But I've now been using Headspace for over 4 years, and I couldn't recommend it enough. It has semi or fully guided meditations for any level of expertise. From courses teaching the fundamentals, to more specific guidance for those looking to level up. It turns out that many elite athletes use meditation and mindfulness as part of their overall fitness regimen. Training your body and mind really does go hand in hand. It's helped me massively reduce my stress and improve my sleep, which is massively underrated for fitness progress across the board. I like to listen to these before anything stressful, while walking, or just before bed. When I start feeling negative or stressed,
oh, look at the kitty cat.
Listening to a semi-guided meditation is the most practical thing I can do. It really helped me get through a tough time during lockdown. Not to mention, my neighbour's method to cope with lockdown was to blast drum and bass music late at night, so the sleep sounds which come on Headspace really helped to drown this out. They also have a good catalogue of focus music, which I like to listen to while scripting videos like this. It's a good way to stay consistent with an area of health I find much easier to neglect. He's left-handed! If you want to see how Headspace could be helpful to you, you can get your first 2 months completely free. All you need to do is use my link in the description, or scan the QR code on screen. These videos take a lot of time to make, but it's thanks to you for watching, and sponsors like Headspace that allow me to keep creating.
Steroids didn't make me more jacked, I would still take them just because of how it affects me mentally. Testosterone will change.
Well, yeah, drugs do that. They make you dependent no matter what you do. Like caffeine, friggin' everything is pretty much an addictant to some extent. Like even sex, food.
90% of men's lives for the better.
Bodybuilders in today's more honest social media landscape love to talk about how steroids make them feel.
Today, we're gonna be talking about what it feels like to be on trend. When it's fucking time to go, it's fucking time to go.
Mentally, you become the main character.
But there's growing evidence.
Again, I have to preface this that, like, not everyone feels the same about taking certain drugs for, like, steroids and stuff. I think it exacerbates your already, like, mental state. If you're a dickhead, it will exacerbate it. It might not make it to the point where it's unbearable, but if you're, like, at the point of where people already think you're a dickhead, if you top it off with steroids, you will, like, go over the edge. It's a multiplier, exactly. Yeah. Tren is a cow drug to beef them up for slaughter. I mean, no offense, I think this guy looks like a bull. He's fucking massive! He looks like a little fucking bull! He's like, let's go!
On trend. When it's time to go, it's time to go.
Mentally,
he's a big man.
You become the main character.
But there's growing evidence.
I mean, this is the nicest way possible.
All of these effects are positive.
It's going to make your temper very short.
Intrusive thoughts. I think about violence all the time.
Irritable.
Holy shit, really? Like that bad? I wonder what the statistic is of, like, I know this is, like, really mean to say, but, like, I wonder what the statistic is of, like, spousal abuse or something with, like, taking steroids. I can't imagine you have a lot of self-control. Right? Like, if you have intrusive thoughts of violence, like, good lord. Yeah, way too high, huh?
Yeah. Angry, anxious, night sweats. Like, I got the most side effects from trend in all these drugs.
Yet, the temptation to use steroids is a running joke in the...
Oh, no. I don't think C's would want that he's dead, man. Yeah, I don't think in hindsight, I don't think he'd want to have himself glorified to abuse the thing that killed him. Like, that's very sad, you know?
The fitness industry.
You'll never know.
It's easy
I don't
to
think
forget
you would.
that the mental consequences for bodybuilders can be fatal.
I'm going to be brave. I'm going to make the move up into open bodybuilding. Love you all, and keep following, guys.
That was Neil Curry's last YouTube video before tragically passing away after becoming very isolated and depressed. His parents stating the chemicals had negatively affected his mental health. We can't claim causation here, but steroids alter your hormonal levels and how you think. So elite bodybuilding dosages come with significant psychological risks.
Like I said, you put an amplifier on top of someone who already has issues, it just puts it to 11. It can drive someone over the edge.
This is something bodybuilders only often notice when coming off of PEDs.
And I did the Mass Olympic gear free, guys. I'm sitting there, it's like a mind F. And I'm wondering, like, why the heck am I not crazy? Why am I not feeling way worse than I normally should? I was like, oh my God, I'm not doing steroids. I'm not doing steroids.
But the cognitive effects can go far beyond a more unstable mental state.
Another one is a marked proximate reduction of IQ. I'm on a considerable dose of anabolics, and I can feel it. It's this fog.
But it's not just a heavy requirement.
It makes you dumb? Shit, really? I did not. I thought it was... Look, I'm gonna be honest, I have a very surface level understanding. I know it makes you mad, it makes you anxious, I know it makes you pee-pee small, but it actually dumbs you down too? I guess that makes sense. It does.
Pharmacology that's contributing to the early bodybuilder deaths. But the psychological pressures of the sport.
In the fitness industry, it's the only place that you get rewarded for having a drug problem and an eating disorder. Yeah. If you combine the two, you get a pro card.
Exactly.
Clip that.
As a result of this, muscle dysmorphia is rife, with a new popular term being used.
I would definitely say bigorexia.
Bigorexia? Dude, this guy's massive! He's like two of me sat together! Look at the chair! Like, look at the chair itself. He's literally almost 2.5 sizes of me. Dude, this guy's fucking
Bigorexia because never satisfied. Simply never satisfied.
In 1985, the People's Magazine coined the term Bigorexia, a psychological condition marked by a negative body image and an obsessive desire to have a muscular physique.
I've met many of the most massive.
Whoever said his head's small, you're actually delusional. This guy's like actually unironically 3 times the size of like a normal average woman. Like that's like almost 3 of a girl. His traps are massive.
Bodybuilders around the world, and I have met a number.
He has bigger tits than you. Okay, man.
Number of them that do not understand how large they are.
Extreme sports attract extreme people.
And I would always feel insecure. Like back then, the way I picked out all of my clothes was what made me look biggest.
But there's a reason you hear about more bodybuilders dying young than cage fighters. It's not bigorexia or the pressure that kills bodybuilders. It's what they do in response to it.
You know how many drug addicts are in bodybuilding? A tremendous amount. Because they're chasing something, but they're not winning something.
As unrelatable as it may be, when your family, your finances, and your reputation are all dependent on you outcompeting hundreds of other bodybuilders, dangerous extremes become inevitable. Before I could comprehend the deeper parts of this iceberg, I needed to understand the psychological side and the pressures that bodybuilders can endure. For many bodybuilders, this alone can lead to their downfall. But it's often the result of an undetected condition.
That's one of the most overlooked silent killers of muscular guys.
Imagine having the following symptoms, yet no doctor can tell you what's going on.
What are the symptoms? Hold on, let me read them.
Imagine having the following symptoms, yet no doctor.
Snoring, morning headache, pauses in breathing, xerostoma, I don't know what that is, excessive daytime sleepiness, depression, fatigue, insomnia, night sweats, impotence, night terror, waking up gasping or choking, mouth breathing, bedwetting, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, brain fog, low sex drive, snorting, coughing, or choking, complications after surgery, difficulty maintaining attention. I mean, if I had to guess, like with the snoring, maybe like sleep apnea? Yeah. Oh, Chad is already saying sleep apnea. Yeah, I thought so. Like snoring, I was like,
And the first time I got some sort of clarification was when I went to see a psychiatrist with extreme depression and anxiety.
It's believed up to 80% of people who suffer with this are undiagnosed.
I stopped breathing between 30 to 50 times per hour. I was getting around 30 minutes of restful sleep per night. How can any person survive on that?
The root cause, obstructive sleep apnea.
People can die, yeah. You can't get into deep breath.
Well, when you have an enlarged heart, I can't imagine it's like really easy to even like breathe. You're working extra hard with an overstimulated heart too. It's the neck. I think it's all of it together, but like the heart is probably a really big factor.
Because you wake up every 2 minutes, like choking.
You're basically restricting oxygen and killing yourself slowly every single night.
A serious condition that commonly affects overweight individuals.
Previous coach of mine, Mike Jenkins, he passed away in 2013 because of sleep apnea.
The solution? This is a CPAP machine.
That's Juji Mufu. He has sleep apnea? That's who I named Juji after back during COVID. I watched his stuff. He has sleep apnea. I had no idea. Oh, hope he doesn't die, man.
Necessary device for many bodybuilders to breathe while sleeping.
I was told by my sleep specialist, he said, if I didn't get a CPAP machine when I did, I would have had a stroke by the time I was 30.
There's a reason you don't see many 300-pound 70-year-olds walking around. But while it seems like bodybuilders are most at risk at their peak size, it's often the run-up to competitions that proves the most fatal, with many reaching into the dangerous world of diuretics. This is footage of 26-year-old Antonio Souza. You can see something looks off. Shortly after, he passed away with diuretics the cause of death.
Some guys and girls use diuretics to lose.
You literally piss yourself because like you dehydrate yourself. If you're constantly pissing because they want to lose the water weight or whatever.
Body water. And you lose a lot of electrolytes.
Your kidneys die
Electrolytes
too.
regulate your heartbeat. So if they get really out of whack.
These have claimed the lives of many other bodybuilders, trying to achieve a dry look on stage.
back in the 90s, there was a guy called Andy Hornby, early 20s. He died back.
That's why I think it's also like really unhealthy to be completely like dry cut and not having a single like shred of fat on your body. You basically don't eat. You're starving yourself too. On top of diuretics and peeing all the time. It's so bad. Such bad thing for your body.
Because of the dehydration.
Yeah. That's diuretic use.
Yeah.
Diuretics are real danger, and it can be deaths left and right.
And they're increasingly being misused.
Because, man, that's heart blood. That's blood pressure.
Look at the muscles. You can literally see the cords of his muscles. Look, you can see the ripples. That's how you know those. Like, you know those textbooks where they show the how to draw muscles and stuff, like the fibers, the string. Bro looks like the Attack Titan. No, like legitimately, that's terrifying.
That's blood pressure meds, man. Like, what are you doing?
Jodie Engel won her pro card in 2020, but was later hospitalized with rhabdomyolysis, acute kidney injury, and cellulitis linked to diuretic overuse, and now needs to take a concoction of medications for the rest of her life, stating she would give her pro card back in an instant, just for one day to live in her old body.
And she survived, by the way. Imagine talking to the people that died. They'd be like, I would never do it again. Like, I don't know. You can say, oh, you don't know, Alana, you don't know. I think that those people do, and the families of those people. The families would do anything.
Diuretics are
sad.
Very dangerous. They will kill you.
Despite this, the abuse of diuretics and experimental compounds is on the rise, with some placing the blame on the coaches providing them.
Because I'm telling you, some of, if not the most famous coaches in the entire world couldn't give two shits about your health. And why do I know this? Because I've been sent their plans.
Yeah, he was working with Dallas McCarver. When he started working with Dallas McCarver, I said Dallas has 6 months to live. He died 8 months later.
That was Sean Ray, calling out a prominent bodybuilding coach.
Chad's got blood all over his hands, man. There's at least 5 deaths. Don Youngblood, Nasser El Somebody, Dallas McCarver, and a few other people that he's had
they're huge
relationships with as a bodybuilding coach that are dead and in the ground, and he hadn't gone to one funeral.
The role of an elite
money and fame, huh? And he didn't go to their funeral? He's not in prison?
bodybuilding coach is often to help the bodybuilders tread the thin line between life and death leading up to a show. It's a grey area.
Doctors wouldn't even touch a lot of these bodybuilders because there's no evidence on, like, you're not going to advise somebody on taking Trenbolone that's only used in veterinary scenarios.
Do not use in calves to be processed for veal. Do not attempt to salvage of implant site for human or animal food. Do not use in dairy cattle. This is the warning label, and you're injecting that shit into yourself. Cheese and crackers. You're not even supposed to put this in, like, cattle is supposed to be eaten, bro.
It's like you'd lose your license, and it's completely unethical.
So coaches often provide
don't
illicit
eat the
substances and
bodybuilders
dosages
for sure.
without formal training or medical licenses.
It's fine if everything goes right and it works because you're. What happens when it doesn't go right, or your body reacts slightly differently?
Bodybuilders die, with coaches facing criticism, such as the so-called guru of death.
This guy, they're saying he killed 5 people. He's telling me, no, I only killed 2 people. So I was like, what kind of...
Dude, that's evil villain shit. Oh, I didn't kill 5 people. I killed 2. What?
What kind of person says that? No, bro, it's 2 people, not 5. You get it right.
But as bodybuilder Luke Sando stated, shortly before passing away, we play with fire in this game. Sometimes things get burned. As stated in medical disclaimers when working with bodybuilding coaches, it's the clients who are ultimately responsible for their health.
He doesn't seem to be an evil guy. I don't get that impression. I get them.
Is I never once saw him as an evil guy. Yeah. Even when I read that insane diuretic protocol, that I own it. I laughed at it and said, if this doesn't kill me, I'll be shocked.
Perhaps most coaches are...
I kind of disagree. When you joke and say I killed 2 people, not 5, get it right. I feel like you're a little bit of a fucking schizo. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Mitigating the damage bodybuilders do to themselves. You'd like to think so, but it's a dangerous game.
Literally, they really walk that fine line between life and death. And they know they're pushing the envelope. And they do it anyway because of the accolades, the possible potential accolades and the money and the new clients that they might garner from this notoriety. And you guys know exactly who you are.
But many are concerned with the false security that seemingly knowledgeable coaches provide.
I can see why somebody might just blindly follow a plan because that's what's been encouraged in this industry, unfortunately.
And with PEDs.
Well, you have to take responsibility for the fact that these people are doing this for quote unquote sport. They're not doctors. They just trust these coaches blindly because that's what they want to do.
And all
You
that
wanna
stuff.
get
Like you have to be very, very careful because
Yeah, sport. I mean, like,
people have
I'm
died.
So,
saying
why
that
despite all
loosely,
of these
chat.
recent deaths, the bodybuilders continue to use experimental compounds, often mixed in with recreational drugs and risky medications. Some coaches argue that a lot of these poor decisions are the result of a psychological phenomenon known as summit fever.
Getting to the top no matter
When you
what.
get to within a mile of the summit of the mountain, you get what's called summit fever. And what that does is it makes you set aside every safety rule, everything that could keep you healthy, everything that you know might kill you because all you see is that summit, that goal. And it happens within the last mile of a mountain climb. And it's a huge phenomenon. The top mile of any huge mountain is littered with corpses. And now so is bodybuilding
that's
for the same
true.
reason.
Elite bodybuilders are often at their unhealthiest point when they step up on stage.
People that don't know, when you see a bodybuilder on stage and they're fully shredded and ripped and flexing, they are so dehydrated. They're like ready to black out.
But this is a time to push things to the limit.
Also, the opposite happens. I watched a video on Joshua Wiseman feeding one of the strongest men in the world. I forget where he's from. I think he's from Latvia. And he says he has to gorge himself right before he's gonna go. Like, he's one of those strongmen that doesn't do drugs or anything. This is like for actual sport, like lifting rocks, so he has to be healthy. But you have to gorge yourself and feel really sick eating 10,000 calories in a day. He says, like, to the point where you're like shoveling food in your mouth where you want to throw up and you don't want to eat anymore. You have to eat it and you feel like,
Are you truly doing whatever it takes to reach your goals?
It's
The opportunity to make all of their hard work and sacrifice worth something. Meanwhile, the trainers are looking to make a name for themselves.
They have summit fever sometimes as bad as the competitors do.
A mixture of all of these factors has people very concerned about the future of bodybuilding.
The sad state of bodybuilding, unpopular opinion. Someone is literally going to have to die on stage before something changes in bodybuilding.
I thought people died on stage pretty commonly. I thought that was like a thing. They like get rushed to the hospital and then they die over there. Backstage, you think so? Again, I'm not super caught up to. I feel like this has been happening for a long time.
Trainers aren't going to change. People want to see these monsters.
Exactly.
And so they will continue to produce monsters. They're going to continue to reward that, and the stakes are going to get higher, and therefore the usage is going to get higher.
It's body dysmorphia. At the end of the day, it's the same women who starve themselves and eat like 2 grapes and an apple, and then they want to be models and they have their ribs sticking out. It's the same thing. I do feel for them. It's really, really sad.
Despite its
It's 2
appeal,
grapes. I'm not
bodybuilding has
joking,
a dark
chat.
side that federations, coaches and brands often prefer to hide. Many fans believe more should be done to protect competitors' health, perhaps by drawing inspiration from the sport's early days.
Because look at the old days when Steve Reeves won. When Steve Reeves won,
if you saw him on the beach, you say to yourself, I would love.
Yeah, he looks natural, does he not, chat? He doesn't look like he's fucking taking roids. Right? Like, this looks pretty normal, yeah. Like, he's buff as hell, but damn.
to have this guy's body. But that's not what you can say about those guys the day they win those competitions.
Exactly. Like, you look like a shaved chimp, man. You ever see a chimpanzee with no fur? Yeah, like, this is scary.
This is why Arnold wants the classic physique to be as big as the open. And the natural bodybuilding community is growing, with bodybuilders warning of the risks.
Go get yourself checked out, get everything checked, because I didn't realize what was going on inside me till they actually went in and looked.
All these got health problems. All of them, bro.
Yeah.
Why do you think I haven't competed in several years now?
Me personally, my advice to you, unless you're competing, don't take any steroids.
This is why raising awareness of the darker side is crucial, especially for younger people, who are often only shown the glamorous aspects. Bodybuilding got me interested in fitness, but its darker side is what got me interested in health. For many bodybuilders, it's a passion worth dying for. And
it's just like you're just too big. I think it's attractive when like a man has muscles. You can even have a little bit of fucking fat. You ever seen a man with a dad bod and like big muscles, but they're still big? Like I don't get this at all. You're just too massive. You look like a oversized like Barbie like Ken doll, you know? Like extra plastic on top, you know?
many more will die incredibly young.
Yeah, like
As
well
people
toned.
remark, at least they died doing what they loved. But perhaps the best way to honor late bodybuilders is to avoid making the same mistakes.
For sure, who I am is
Let's
not a
go,
bodybuilder. There's more to
Forson.
me than that. I'll be happy without it.
And this sport is not worth dying for.
No, there's much more to life than working out. We're talking about business, success, education, you know, bettering yourself in every way.
Sad.
Willing to do whatever it takes. I've talked to a lot of bodybuilders and I've explained that if we were able to take what we learned from bodybuilding and all the effort and energy we put into, say, preparing for a contest, and we could take that and put that into
Good
something
Lord,
else.
man, so many.
It would be amazing, the results.
And women too. There he was. Oh. There he was, the king. That's when I first actually became aware of like steroid problems. When I was a kid, I remember people talking about Z's. Yeah. Actually, like I was a kid, and that's when I first started hearing about it. Chat, if you ever have a friend that unironically jokes about like doing roids, like just like tell them no. Tell them no, man. I had like passing friends who were men that played video games with like groups of people that I like communicated with. It's not funny. It's like cool and everything that you look so buff in your eyes, but at the end of the day, like you're actually hurting yourself. It's so bad. Also, what if you have a child and stuff and then they pass away? It's like, oh, well, you know, your dad died doing what he loved. It's like, but I don't have a dad. Like, what's the point? Your dad died with bigger boobies than your mom. That's that shit, chat. That's that shit. That was a good informative video, though. I really liked it. Like, you know, informationally.